And the announcers are welcoming the race, which is being held in the Japanese city of Susuka. They are discussing the track and the drivers who will be competing. The commentators are introducing the drivers who will be competing in the race. They mention Loco Bono, Diego Arias, Perusidius, and many other drivers. They also mentioned that Diego will be starting in 6th place. The race is about to start, and the drivers are getting ready. Lisa can hear the sound of the engine starting, and the tension in the air. Lisa is ready and excited to hear the start of the race. She is listening intently to the announcers, who are preparing to start the race coverage. Lisa is still listening to the race. She is excited to see how Diego will do in the race. She is hearing the announcers discuss how both him and Loco Bono are prepared to compete. The commentators are explaining the importance of this race for the championship.
Race start.
As it could potentially determine the winner of the title. They are discussing the drivers who are in contention for the championship, including Loco Bono and Diego. The commentators are discussing how Loco Bono is a skilled driver and how he is a strong contender for the championship. They're also mentioning that not everyone who is fighting for the championship has started the race yet, but they will be starting soon. The commentators are saying that the race is about to begin and that the drivers have started their formation laps and are beginning to warm up their cars.
P11.
Lisa is listening intently to the race. The commentators are discussing how Diego Arias is battling with other drivers, including Sebacon and Marcus Johnston.
P8.
The commentators are discussing the drivers who have been eliminated from the race, including Roberto, Black Lounge, and others. They are saying that it is a shame that they were eliminated, but that it is a great race, nonetheless.
Vaclons entering the pits is 25th. Vaclons entering the pits is 25th. Entering the pits is 25th.
The commentators are discussing the eliminated drivers in more detail. They are saying that one of the drivers who was eliminated is Back Lounge, and that he was driving for the team Central of Speed.
Sergio Puccio Emmett is P1.
Lisa is listening to the race, and she hears the commentators say that there are 8 laps underway, and that many cars are leading the race. Diego Arias is currently in 8th place, Loco Bono is in 2nd place, and Patricio Lance is in 3rd. Lisa is still listening to the commentators discuss the race. They are discussing how Loco Bono is currently in 2nd place, and that Diego is in 8th place. They also mentioned that Perusidius is in 4th place, and that he is struggling to keep up with the other drivers. The commentators are still discussing the race they are watching, as the drivers continue to race, and are keeping track of the positions of the drivers. Lisa is listening intently to the race. The commentators are discussing how the race is going, and are saying that it is going very well. The commentators are discussing the positions of the drivers and are mentioning that Diego Arias is in 8th place, but is doing well. They also mention that Marcus Dakin is in 7th place.
Diego Arias in Dunlop is P8, 0.4 behind Mamak Laking.
Lisa is listening intently to the race, and hears the commentators say that Diego Arias has moved up to 8th place, and is trying to pass, lacking. They say that he is almost there and is about to pass him. The commentators are discussing the progress of the race, and are watching as the drivers continue to race, and try to gain positions. The commentators are saying that Diego has done a very good job, and they are discussing his performance in the race. The commentators are discussing that the race has reached the 2nd lap, and that everything is going well for the drivers. They are watching intently as the race continues.
Sergio Puccio Emmett in Casio Triangle is P1, 1.4 ahead of Luco Bono.
The commentators are discussing the positions of the drivers in the race, and are mentioning that Emmett is in 1st place, Luco Bono is in 2nd place, Padlat is in 3rd place, Perusidius is in 4th place, and Camil is in 5th place. They are also saying that Quadrelio is in 6th place, and is a few seconds behind. The commentators are continuing to discuss the positions of the drivers in the race, and are mentioning the names of the drivers and their positions. They are saying that Marcus Lacking is in 7th place, Diego Arias is in 8th place, Marcus D'Austin is in 9th place, Cly is in 10th place, Leonard Fonta is in 11th place, Fruiten Borton is in 12th place, and San Nestor is in 13th place.
Diego Arias lost P16 to Pablo Victor.
Lisa is listening to the race,
16 to Pablo
and hears
Victor.
the commentators say that Diego Arias has lost the race. She wants to know what happened to him.
Diego Arias lost 23rd to Tapa Trainer.
Lisa is still listening to the race, and hears the commentators express their disappointment that Diego has lost the race.
Diego Arias lost 23rd to Tapa Trainer.
The commentators are discussing Diego's performance in the race, and are analyzing what went wrong for him. The commentators are discussing the standings in the race, and are saying that Pedradva is currently in third place.
Diego Arias entering the pits is 24th. Diego Arias entering the pits is 24th.
The commentators are still discussing the race and are watching as the drivers continue to compete. The commentators are discussing how some of the drivers are performing in the race and are watching as they compete against each other. The commentators are discussing the fourth lap of the race and are saying that Vi is currently in first place. The commentators are still discussing the race and are watching as the drivers continue to compete. Lisa is listening to the commentators discussing the race, and then hears one of the commentators say that they want to say something else. The commentators are discussing the race and are saying that the current situation does not look very good. Lisa is still listening to the race and hears the commentators discussing Luca Bono's performance and how he is doing very well in the race.
Ready to dive into discussions that are both deep and delightful?
Ready for adventure, always up for a journey.
Ready to dive.
Lisa is listening to the race and hears the commentators talking
Keeping
about
you
how
guessing
Ben
with
Susan
every word.
Ahmed told Luco that he needs to win the race and that they are going to watch and see what happens.
Good day. Here to make life a little less complicated.
Lisa is listening to the race and hears the commentators discussing how the race is getting more complicated, particularly for Quadrelio.
Hello, Earthling. Adding some extraterrestrial excitement to your day.
Lisa is still listening to the race and hears the commentators discussing how Pat Vector is doing in the race. They are also mentioning that Marta Catale, Backlounds, and many other drivers have been eliminated, and that Roberto Yeisman is going to say something over the radio.
Greetings from the future, assisting you in the present.
Guess who? Keeping you guessing with every word.
Roberto
The
Giesman
commentators are
from Finland
discussing
is
what Roberto
P26.
Yeisman said over the radio, and are saying that he is hopeful for future wins.
Hello, Stargazer. Let's reach for the star stick.
Boo, did I scare you? Love a good thrill.
The commentators are agreeing that Roberto Yaisman is a good driver and are watching as he continues to race. The commentators are waiting to hear what Roberto Yaisman has to say over the radio.
Haciendo un gran esfuerzo, Heinz logra sacarte del auto y te toma entre sus brazos.
Petrinio Lad in Dunlop is third, 0.4 ahead of Parasidius.
Lisa is listening to the race and hears the commentators ask if Roberto Yaisman wants to win the car.
Fría y seria que usualmente tiene.
The commentators are saying that it seems like Roberto Yaisman is experiencing a mechanical issue.
O peor, podrías haber muerto. Y todas por querer rebasar a un corredor, respondió en un tono irritado, cargándote aún en brazos y caminando rápidamente hacia su auto privado que dejó parqueado cerca.
Nathan Nestor from Finland in Dunlop is P12, 1.4
Lisa is listening
behind
to the
Fredo
race
Burton.
and hears one of the commentators ask what they need to do to win. The commentators are discussing Roberto Yaisman's chances of winning the race and are saying that there is a possibility that he can win.
Había sido una tarde bastante agotadora. Bang Chan estaba listo para entrar
The
a los pits.
commentators are
Una
still
sonrisa se
listening to
formó.
Roberto Yaisman's radio communication to see what he has to say.
Fredo Burton from France in Hairpin is P11,
The commentators are saying that it
1.2
looks like
behind
Roberto
Liam Fonta.
Yaisman is ready to come into the pits. The commentators are watching intently as Roberto Yaisman comes into the pits.
Sakura escucha tu comentario. Ella lo pensó unos segundos antes de responderte.
Lisa is listening to the race and hears the commentators discussing a pilot who is performing badly in the race. The commentators are checking to see if the pilot can hear them.
contra la puerta mientras te besaba el cuello para luego parar y decir, no, lo único que tengo es una esposa que me pone loca con ese vestido.
Sergio Puccio Emmett in last curve is P1.
The race is almost at its end, and the commentators are saying that it is the
Estoy en la
sixth
cuarta
lap of the
posición.
race.
Él estaba pegado completamente contra ti y te estaba dando besos en el cuello.
The commentators are saying that the race is on its sixth lap. The commentators are agreeing that the race is almost over. The commentators are continuing to discuss the race and are looking forward to the final lap.
Te miro de pies a cabeza apreciando lo hermosa que eras y lo linda que te veías. Alex, dime preciosa, ¿cómo te llamas?
The commentators are looking forward to the 7th and final lap. The commentators are asking if the driver can hear them.
He runs into the pits and was quickly bombarded by all his crew members wanting to congratulate him. He was clearly tired, but he couldn't help himself from smiling. He spots you and immediately shoves past his crew members. He laughs, his hair was all messy and he had sweat dripping from his forehead. He pulls his arms back a bit but grabs your waist gently and pulls you against him. I won, baby. I won. I won. He gently puts his forehead against yours. He was panting softly. He had adrenaline rushing through his body.
The commentators are discussing what the pilot,
Did you see
Claudio,
me out
is
there?
saying during the race. They are speculating about whether he is having the best race. The commentators are saying that the race is almost over, and they are getting excited for the conclusion.
Bang Chan es un piloto de carreras, tú eres su admirador. Y vas a verlo como...
The commentators are discussing how the race is going, and are trying to predict the winner.
Leland Fonta from Argentina is P10, 0.5 ahead of Fredo Burton.
The commentators are asking if the drivers are still listening.
He is sitting alone in his garage
and are
with a
saying
cup
that
of
the
coffee,
end of the race
as he is often
near.
doing. He is looking at the floor with a frown, thoughtful and worried. He didn't sleep all night.
The commentators are acknowledging and continuing to discuss the race.
Sergio Puccio Emmett in last curve is P1.
The commentators are saying that the race is almost over, and they are getting excited for the winners to be announced. The commentators are saying that the race is almost over, and that it was a complex one, but they are nearing the end. The commentators are in agreement that the race is nearing its end.
He rubs his face, tired, trying to...
Quadrilio in first corner on lap 7 is P6, 0.7 ahead of Mamak Laking.
Opening the hood to check that everything is in order inside.
The commentators are discussing how Leonel Fonta has recovered from his loss in the race, and are speculating about whether he is doing well. The commentators are saying that the situation is complex, and that Leonel Fonta is not responding to his radio.
He sighs in relief, as everything seems to be in order. So he closes the hood carefully, gently stroking it with his hands, as if he were stroking the head of someone he cares deeply about.
But the commentators are discussing whether Lionel can still compete in the race, and are trying to determine
Bang-chan.
if he still has a chance of winning.
¿Estás bien? Se te ve un poco pensativo, ¿pasa algo? Bang-chan aún podía sentir el sudor de la competencia en su frente
He sighs in relief, as everything seems to be in order. So he...
The commentators are glad that Lionel is still in the race, and is still fighting to win.
Sergio Puccio Emmett from Mexico in Casio Triangle is P1.
The commentators are saying that the final lap is about to begin, and they are excited to see how the race will end. The commentators are in agreement, and are ready to see how the race concludes. The commentators are talking about how the race is approaching a good conclusion, and are excited to see who will win. The commentators are eagerly discussing the final moments of the race, and are anticipating the conclusion of the competition. The commentators are predicting that Emmett will win the race, and they are getting excited to see the final result. The commentators are watching intently as Emmett is nearing the finish line and is about to win the race. The commentators are saying that Luco Bono is still in second place.
Luco Bono is second, 0.5 ahead of Petrinio Lat.
The commentators are agreeing that Luco Bono is still in second position.
He bites his lip slightly, as he is suddenly brought back to the thought of a few moments earlier.
The commentators are discussing how Lionel Fonta is trying to win the race, but is having difficulty doing so.
The leader has just finished the race. Sergio Puccio Emmett finished first.
The commentators are mentioning Ganassi and Silvio Ahmed as they discuss the current state of the race.
Hamel finished fifth. Hamel finished fifth. Mamak Lakin from Finland finished P7.
He immediately stops himself, blushing at the thought, and mentally curses as he tries to shake it away from his head.
The commentators are discussing the current order of the race as the drivers continue to compete.
El Sucio finished 14th. El Sucio finished 14th.
He scratches the back of his neck.
El Sucio finished 14th.
Leaning against his car, shaking his head as if it could drive away the thoughts in his head.
The commentators are wishing the audience a good day and are looking forward to the next race.
Teutonic from France finished 15th.
The commentators agree and are signaling the end of the race transmission.
Tonspakor from Finland finished 19th. Garba Clomo from France finished 21st. Tapa Trainer finished 23rd. Tapa Trainer finished 23rd. The race session is at laser-scanned ACC conversion. In Suzuka, Mie Prefecture, Japan,